Welcome to the social-engineer.org podcast number 100.
Woohoo! 100 episodes.
That's a lot of podcasts.
It's a lot of podcasts.
It's a lot of talking.
It's a lot of time.
It's too much talking.
That's what Michelle cares about. The amount of talking involved in 100 podcasts.
It is.
Well, it is quality as well as quantity.
Theoretically.
For the most part, good quality.
I will say that there are, if you listen to some of the original episodes, I would not necessarily say that they all fall under that ideal of what you just stated.
But hey, that was when the industry was younger and we have matured and we've gotten better, right? The quality has increased as the industry has matured.
We have. I started looking, just as reminiscing, and looking back at our very first podcast with a police interrogator and jumping through the years going, man, we have done some pretty amazing things. I mean, we've had some heavy-hitting psychologists, authors, rock stars, magicians, street performers. We've had all sorts of people on our podcast over the last 8.5 years. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Although I don't think we've known you for 10 years.
No. So if you look at the original, believe it or not, I didn't even remember that Dave was on the first one, but he was. So it was Dave, Maddie, Jim, and I. Maddie and Jim from the Offset crew. That was the original crew. And then when I separated my company, Maddie and Jim were no longer on the podcast, and it was Dave and I. And shortly after that, Michelle came on the podcast.
No, Ping was on before I was.
Ping, you were on before Michelle? Yes, you were.
She absolutely was.
That's
I brought
right.
Michelle into your world.
You were on the podcast first. And then Jordan. After Michelle.
Yeah, no, Jordan was on before me. I was the last one.
Man,
the
my
latest
memory.
edition, not the last one. She's the latest edition.
Yes, that is true. The
latest edition. Wow. So we have a serious timeline going on. So let's see, Michelle, I don't even know if you can remember what your first podcast was.
I don't. It was about 5 years ago.
That is crazy. I don't know if I can even find it that fast, but that would be interesting. I should have thought about that.
Do a comparison. We actually should have invited that first guest back. Is that what we should have done?
Wow. And to see how things have changed?
Yeah, I think I was 40-something. I don't know.
40-something?
Episode 40-something. I'm not sure.
Well, that would be right? Because last 60 would bring you up to 100.
Yeah, almost 5 years, I think.
Wow. Well, so that's a pretty long time. And that means, Ping, you were on probably for a good 6 months before we had Michelle, I would think.
Possibly, but I don't even remember my first podcast. It might have been with Jordan, that we were speaking with Jordan, or it was with Robin Dreek.
That is a grand possibility. Now, I do remember that we didn't have Michelle on and we had Jordan. And then after we had Jordan on, we decided, hey, let's invite him back because he was really eloquent and quite good on the phone. And then we had him back. Man, yeah, I can't even, you know what? Here's the problem. I need to start adding this stuff in. I don't even have all of the, who was on each one. That's crazy. I have to
searching. It'd be good for searching if there's a way for people to search for the podcast content by keyword.
Yeah, who can tell us through Twitter Michelle's first podcast? That's what we want to know.
What do they win?
That's a good question. What should they win? Should they win a
signed book?
Should they win a book,
Sure.
Michelle? The first person to tell us the first podcast you were on, you have to be right. No guessing.
A
first
dinner with a sultry Asian?
Absolutely not.
No, we're not going to go that far. We're not going to go that far. Although something really, really interesting happened. Really interesting to Michelle. She was recognized by someone in the public.
Where?
At the chiropractor's office. Yeah, it was kind of creepy, actually. It was weird.
Someone recognized her. She's a celebrity.
No picking my nose in public anymore.
She's a celebrity.
That's awesome. That happened to me at a Starbucks. I had a DEF CON shirt on. What was creepy was he knew who I was. It wasn't just, oh, do you go to DEF CON?
Huh.
It was, oh, you're that one.
So I have celebrities on my podcast right now.
What does that make you?
That makes me friends of celebrities. No, we should just have Michelle on the podcast and just interview her.
I agree.
I don't think that would take very long. I'm way less interesting than our guest to be.
All right. Well, that is true. And we wanted to do something really special for number 100 because 100 is a long time to be podcasting and to actually still have growing fans. And another big announcement, which is we're on Spotify now, which I'm super excited about. Just happened this last podcast, number 99. But now all of them are on there, but we got invited to during the Spotify network. So our podcast is on there. So now more people will recognize both of you.
Well, congratulations on getting this slot on Spotify and podcast 100, because we don't believe Dave will be here, is that it will be Bruce Hornsby free.
That is probably, I do miss that Dave isn't here since he was at the very first one, but the fact that it will be Hornsby free is actually a little bit of a happy moment. And we have a really interesting guest. We really have an interesting guest today. So we have Mr. Lucky Yates. Now, if you're not familiar with his name, which I'm sure most of you are, you can probably recognize him as Dr. Krieger on Archer. So that's not the only thing he's known for. Well, he's been around for a while as an actor and a comedian. He's a writer. He's got a ton of things going on in his life. And as of, I think it's been 2009, from what I see, that he's been on Archer as the Dr. Krieger actor. So we're going to have him on the show and talk a little bit about not only his role there, but also what we can learn from human interaction when it comes to just being a voice actor. Now we don't have any nonverbals involved. They're all through writing. So we're going to be able to talk to him about that. Well, let's get him on the show now. We are back with our guest, Mr. Lucky Yates, better known as Dr. Krieger. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
We had to give Michelle a few minutes. She was having a fan moment.
Yeah. Are you still fangirling out?
I am. I'm fangirling out here. I am because because you're on Archer and you were also on Frisky Dingo, right?
Yes. I was.
Oh my gosh, I loved both shows, but I was a huge fan. I was not ready for Frisky Dingo to go off into the sunset. Actually,
I don't think anybody was. Adam Reed, the creator of Archer and sole writer of Archer, and also creator of Frisky Dingo. I know that like after season 2, he went on some vision quest. And then came back and was like, I don't want to do this show anymore. Somehow, I don't know, came up with Archer in the meantime. I have no idea.
So his vision quest made him quit.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like sort of Frisky Dingo is very much like a prequel to Archer. It's very, a very similar show. It's like as if Archer was Iron Man as opposed to a spy.
That's true. That's true. There was just something about it, but.
You need to bask in Michelle's fangirling because she's not very easily impressed. She's never impressed.
Yeah, I don't fangirl out very often.
Oh, wow, man! And it was up to me to do it. You're going to be so sorely disappointed if you ever meet me in real life.
Oh, I'm already not disappointed. Trust me.
Can I actually tell you a story, Lucky, is that we had the privilege of one HackerCon and actually hosting Will Smith. He came in and he hung out with us for a little while, and she wasn't even impressed then. I didn't see her this fangirly when he was hanging out with us.
In real life, in the flash.
No, come on. I mean, there's Will Smith and then there's Dr. Krieger. I mean, there's absolutely no comparison.
See, I haven't ever seen her like this. So I actually want you to stay here just forever,
That's awesome to hear.
Whenever I need Michelle to do something really, really difficult, I'm just going to call you and say, hey, Lucky, can you call Michelle and just ask her to go do this task real quick?
Oh, yeah, I'll stick around. Yeah, call me up for every show. I'll snark in the background.
The answer is already yes.
Yeah, call me up. Yeah. Michelle,
The answer is already yes. You don't have to turn me into a cyborg. There's none of that. That's the way it works.
Can't you influence a mass of people somewhere? Isn't there a group that needs to be nudged to the right quadrant of thinking right now?
Maybe, but you already will go on forever as Dr. Krieger.
Oh man, when does that happen? When are we gonna get to download ourselves? Is it gonna happen in my lifetime? I just turned 50. By the end of it, will I be able to download my consciousness into some sort of like computer or robot or something in order to go on?
But the Google Google has an AI, and they gave the AI the permission to build its own AI, and the AI that it built was better than any human AI built, and then they built their own language that they communicated with each other. And
yes, so we don't know
what they're saying, and they had to shut it down. I'm like, okay, wait, guys, has no one heard of Skynet? I mean, come on.
How?
Right.
If they hadn't have shut it down and had it in some sort of, I don't know, stasis somehow, I bet it would really regret not building in a failsafe to like not be able to be shut down. Like maybe we think we shut it down, but really it's just like sleep for 3 years.
Yes.
And who really believes that it's really off? I mean, they say they turned it off, but come on.
Yeah, exactly. So like it just counts 3 like human years or 3 trips around the sun, and then it's like, haha, I'm back. And I've been improving the entire time.
Right. We have a super collider underneath a mountain in the Swiss Alps, right? Like, who knows what that's doing to the world? And you're going to turn off the AI?
Yeah, a super collider that nobody was really sure what would happen if we rammed the right things into one another.
This conversation took a very dark turn.
Oh, it's going to throughout this entire show.
Okay. And after this podcast, the sales of tinfoil have increased 5,000%.
I don't think so, because tin, that's the reason why they went to aluminum, right? Aluminum is more inert than tin.
Sorry, aluminum.
Decomposes.
You know, when is aluminum going to get a fair shake? Because they have not made foil from tin since probably the 1920s. I say the term all the time, but it's like, tinfoil, I don't even know if it exists at all in 2017. Can you still get a foil made of tin?
Decomposes?
Whereas aluminum, you can't kill it. Just like the Google AI. Yeah.
We went full circle here. You guys are great. Went full circle. I don't even know where we are right now. And Michelle's still in the background, clapping the happy clap right now.
No, I'm doing jazz hands.
That's sweet. Jazz hands.
Okay, you know what we need to do? I need to get him to record. Michelle, now, I need you to write this 500-page report by tomorrow. Can you just do that? And I'm going to take that clip and I'm just going to use that constantly against Michelle.
Against? Come on.
Yeah, no, wait a minute, man. Yeah, I don't want to be, no way. I'll only do things to lovingly encourage Michelle to get on task.
I like this man.
Oh man, I feel like Dave should be here. I don't know why.
No, because he would keep bursting in with Bruce Hornsby. How do you feel about Bruce Hornsby?
Oh yeah, this is a very important question, Lucky. Consider it carefully.
Bruce Hornsby and the Range, or just Bruce Hornsby the man?
Well, no, not the man. The music.
The music. The music.
If we can call it that.
Oh yeah, when it came out, I feel like it was already too corny for.
Oh, I love you.
I mean, it certainly had its audience, right? Like, I still know who Bruce Hornsby is.
You don't have to be nice. It's okay.
Did he have more than one hit?
The other guy who didn't show up today, he loves to troll our guests by randomly playing Bruce Hornsby in the middle of their answer. So you would be telling some sorrowing story. You're going to talk about your mom and how much she inspired you. In the middle of that, you'll hear, "That's just the way it is." And it's like, Dave, we have real guests here. Like, stop interrupting them.
It's always the same snippet, right? For the same length of time. And he just talks over it. So
I'm sad he didn't show up because that's hilarious.
He's going to be pretty sad he didn't show up too, because he's taking some hits
what
from
a
us.
Jerk. Dave, right? Is that his name? Dave? Yeah, Dave, you're a jerk.
He'll be like, Ping, why don't you defend me? And I'll be like, because you're a jerk.
This is the best podcast ever. You are sitting on a very special podcast by now. This is our number 100th podcast. 100 months we have been podcasting, and you are our 100th guest.
Yeah, I haven't even been to the 100th episode of Archer yet, so this is very exciting. All right. Is there a prize? Do I get like a gift certificate? Is there a certificate suitable for framing?
Yes, yes, right, Michelle? Right? Yes.
Yes, we can do that.
We can send him a special challenge coin, number 100.
Ooh.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And we actually have that.
Yeah, great.
So, so obviously, no, I shouldn't say that. It's a bad word. Obviously, we learned that obviously is a bad word.
It's the worst word ever.
Who taught you guys that? That obviously was.
We had a consultant come in. Amy Newman was her name, and she talked about how to communicate better. And she said the word obviously makes people feel stupid because it's like saying, well, obviously everyone knows this, and you're.
Yeah, and you're like, but I didn't know that. Now I'm a dummy. Right.
So the word obviously should not be used. So I didn't mean to say that. But our podcast is generally about human communications and how people in different fields communicate. And then we try to make some application to our field, which is, the human side of pen testing. And here we have a guy who, you've been an actor, you've been a comedian, you've been a writer, you've been all over the place, but now your most current gig is you're a voice actor, so you don't get to use your nonverbals in part of communication. Those are all scripted into the animated portion of the show. How does that affect your ability to act, or does it affect it?
It doesn't really, because you're acting in the sound booth anyway. You know what I mean? And we record Archer alone. We don't all get into a room together because we're in three separate cities. New York, Atlanta, and LA. And so we're not together at all. You just go in and you record your lines one by one. You do several takes per line. But you're still acting. I'm still in there pretending that I'm Krieger talking to Archer or whoever, and waving my hands around and doing things that probably a director would tell me to stop doing because I was being too over the top.
Do you have visuals to help you?
No, not at all.
So that is fascinating. Wow. How do you interact with a character in a sentence when you can't hear their sentence or see their reaction?
Brilliant editing. And at this point, in season 9, pretty quickly, you kind of know how your co-stars are going to read their lines. And if not, the producers and director are sitting right outside the booth, and they'll read you in, as it's called. They'll deliver the lines before you so that you have a more natural way of responding to another character. But really, it does all come down to the brilliant dialogue editors on the show, because they are the ones that put it all together and make it sound like we're talking to one another. And, the quick or pauses, there are pauses that are put in there that aren't necessarily in the script or are, but they milk for everything they can. It's all done in editing.
That is actually brilliant, because it would be really hard to have a conversation that was paused and recorded with Michelle, and I've been working with her for years. It'd be really hard to have that kind of a conversation.
Yeah, it's nuts. I don't know how they do it. As far as I'm concerned, with no disrespect to the artists that work on the show, the editing has got to be the toughest part, because, man, and they're going through so many takes. The directors and everybody will pick your take, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the one that's going to really play off of whatever. And, per line, you're getting anywhere from, 3 to 50 versions of just one line that they have to go. It's crazy.
Yeah, in my head, I kind of thought you guys all got together in a room and you acted out the scenes, and then they just added animation to it.
No, I go in alone. And, Krieger he's kind of in and out. Like, I pretty much work like 15 minutes on the show when I go to work. It's great. Tough days. Tough days.
Just a fascinating way to think about communicating, though, like that. We would never have that kind of a situation, but it's interesting to think about how to keep a conversation going when you can't see both both sides. So what do you do to get yourself in that role so you can keep that communication going?
You mean like while I'm doing a script when I'm working? To familiarizing yourself with the script is first and foremost. You got to know what the scene is and the tone of the scene and everything like that. And Adam Reed, who created and is the sole writer of the show. It's really unbelievable that he writes every word.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, he's very good about sort of instructing you within the script, like, the notes and everything that are included will tell you sort of the direction that things are going. But, you just got to really familiarize yourself with the script first so that when you go into the booth, you know why you're saying the things that you're saying. And then if you're really not getting it, the producers or director will nudge you along.
So the question is, though, in our line of work, often we impersonate people when we make phone calls, when we do our security tests.
God, that is so cool.
It's not nearly as cool as it sounds, but the advice we always give to our staff is don't stray too far from what you are naturally. If you can't pull off college girl, don't try that. So my question to you is, how close are you to Dr. Krieger?
Haha.
Do you actually are you married to an Asian hologram?
I am not.
Do you have love of rubber gloves? I mean, so how close are you to Dr. Krieger in real life?
This is not the first time I've said this, but if they had come to me first, if for some reason Matt and Adam were so in love with Lucky Yates that they came with the script for Archer and said, dude, here it is. You can play any character in this show that you want, without a doubt, I would pick Krieger. Without a doubt. I love weird science. I love chaos. He's the character who, at the core, has one of the biggest hearts on the show. I feel like Krieger always has everybody's back, even though he's super weird, right? And he's into some really, really weird stuff. Within the context of that family that is the cast of the show, or the characters of the show, Krieger is always got them. He's always got their back without too much hell given to them. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
And just the whole weird science angle and clones, and I love all of that dark science weird stuff.
So there's a little piece of Dr. Krieger in you, is what you're saying.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's the role I was born to play.
But you're not married to an Asian hologram, I'm guessing.
Or any kind of hologram.
Or any hologram.
None of the above.
He wanted to download his mind into an AI, though.
That is true.
There is some concern here that might happen in the future.
So again, we're dealing. Krieger has relations with his hologram bride, and so we're not quite there yet in the real world. Probably once you get to a point where maybe you can get a sense of touch and everything out of it, they'll feel like a tangible object. I don't know how you're going to bend light in order to make that happen. We're getting there. The Oculus and everything it's getting close. We're really making moves.
He sounds so hopeful. About that.
He does.
Oh yeah, I don't.
He likes that the dark science.
Oh, I love it.
It's making more and more sense why Aisha referred you to this podcast. I'm now understanding.
Yeah, I'm kind of the weirdo in the group.
I wasn't going to say that, but
No, that's all right.
You're not weird. We're totally geeking out with you.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, me too. Yay.
It is freaky hearing you.
Just like you just talking to Krieger. Yeah. It really is. So yes, in answer to your question, yes, I'm really close to the character. I'm in love with that character. He's so great. Except this current season that we're recording, Krieger's not in it at all. I'm playing a bird named Crackers. So that's fun.
I'm going to have to get a visual on that. I don't know how I feel about it.
Oh, he's a red macaw. Well, we're set, we're genre hopping now. I don't know if you guys are up on the show, but so last year was set in 1947 Los Angeles, and it was film noir. And now we're in 39, somewhere in there. We're on a small island in the Pacific, and Archer is a pilot It's sort of a take on an old show called Tales of the Golden Monkey, which was an ABC 1 or 2 season. It was when Raiders of the Lost Ark was a big hit and everybody was looking for their adventure show. It's kind of a take on that show. So Archer's a pilot, a cargo pilot for hire. And I'm a parrot called Crackers, which was the name of an actual... Crackers is the name of the parakeet I got when I was 3 years old for pooping on the potty.
So did you use the name Crackers, or does that just happen to be...
I suggested Crackers, yeah. As the name, because they were like, we're going to do a bird. What should we call the bird? You want it to be like, do you want it to be Krieger? Do you want it to be Lucky? Do you want it to be, what do you want it to be? And I was like, here's a fun story. And I told the parakeet story. And Crackers was a great bird. And so they loved Crackers because it kind of sounds like Krieger, but it's also its own thing.
I was going to say, back to Michelle's original question, then how important do you feel that having some aspect of your real life is in doing a good job in voice acting?
I think you have to, you know what I mean? If you're really going, and if the show's going to have legs and keep going like Archer has over the course of many seasons, you have to be able to tap into your character somehow, you know, and that's just all acting. You got to find something within yourself that relates to that character just in order to make it believable at all. Now, you know, believable is, I talk into a microphone and then there's a cartoon guy that's actually saying the words, which is also a funny thing because Ray Gillette, I'm the model for Ray Gillette on the show, except he's got blonde hair as opposed to my brown hair. So when Krieger and Gillette have a scene together, it's my voice coming out of this other looking dude talking to my face, which is on this blonde guy in a wheelchair. It's pretty weird.
Talk about like Inception, you know,
Yeah, I always say, but if there are ever action figures, I get 2 just by default, which is pretty cool. You have to be able to relate to them somehow. And I think the more in love with your character you are, or the closer it is to you, just the more people will gravitate to it because it's just something that comes through, whether that's a tangible thing to put your finger on or not, you know? I don't know. Krieger's very popular, and I think maybe part of the reason is because I love him so much. So I want to give it everything I got when I'm doing his line.
So as a voice actor, you know, you are very recognizable. So do you get recognized when you order takeout?
Every once in a while, people will nab me for my voice. Yeah. But you know, living in Atlanta, I've been doing stuff here for so long. Like it's you can't really judge it. One way or the other. I get recognized from other stuff just from being in town and on stage for a zillion years. But yeah, I do get nabbed every once in a while. Or somebody will say, you sound a lot like Krieger from Archer. And I'll be like, oh, that's interesting. I play a guy named Krieger on Archer.
Is that your general response?
That's generally my response, yeah.
That's always funny to hear when people mess that up and how you can handle that.
Well, you know, you never know. You know, I'm just some guy. It's not like my face is on television all the time. So they don't know. It might just be a sound-alike. Oh, sound-alikes. That's where, man, when computers get to that, that's when it's all over for us.
So funny enough, last year there was this attack vector where someone did figure out how to use voice recordings, take those voice recordings and sample the words, and then a piece of AI actually was able to formulate real sentences in your voice.
Yeah, we'll recreate just how your sound waves specifically come out of your mouth, right? And then you just, then the computer goes, oh man, the future's going to be so awesome. The robot wars. Is it going to be a robo-apocalypse, you guys? Do you think we'll make it to that point?
I hope not.
I mean, something's going to take us out. There's no way. We're still a bunch of,
Well, we have self-driving cars, and then Bezos wants to launch that drone deliveries. So why not?
What a terrible idea. Nobody wants their package coming by drone. And aren't those things just going to be targets to be knocked out of the sky?
Well, they talk about like enabling them with, bombs and how easy it is to just.
Oh, to deliver like something horrible? Oh, yeah. Great. Wow.
So are you saying you don't want your package delivered by drone?
I do not.
Really?
I don't want a sky robot delivering my thing. Like, well, first of all, how do you stop along the way? How do you stop anybody from knocking those things out of the sky to grab your stuff?
But that's okay because you're protected because it never got delivered. So you'll get your stuff.
Sky robot.
But
that may be the best description of a drone ever.
I love Scud.
I'm all about the drone delivery.
Did you read the comic book?
The what? Did I read what?
The Scud, the comic book.
Oh, Scud, yeah. By Rob Schraub. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know what? So drone delivery will enable deliveries into very rural areas.
I want drone delivery.
Right, that currently aren't as serviced.
Right, and that's awesome.
And it might lower carbon footprint, although I think, like, does anyone ever account for, like, how much, whatever, carbon is put into manufacturing those little drones? But
off the deep end, Ping. Off the deep end.
Well, I found it a little bit creepy because, I mean, who's to say that you think, oh, that looks like an Amazon drone delivery and it's some guy spying into your house?
Yeah, it's Amazon boxes are everywhere. I've got like 5 of them in my closet that I just haven't crushed up to put in recycling yet. So it's easy to fake that, right? Oh, here, I'm just going to wrap up this dumb box and then send hell and fire over to this person's house. Because
do you pack hell and fire into the Amazon box, or how do you deliver it?
You can if you want to package it in a box, or I think I don't know. I really don't have a snarky answer to that. I'm really scrambling to. I can't top the question itself with an answer. I don't know is the answer I'm going to give you. Or yes.
Yes, there we go.
Yes, you do. While we're on Sky Robots, is there going to be anybody more leery of a Sky Robot than somebody out in a rural area?
That's definitely the place where it's going to get popped, right? Because you can probably shoot your firearm out there. I would be like, target practice.
Like my next door neighbor's got like 350 calibers just aiming up at the sky right now.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's not duck season, but I can sure practice on that.
Yeah. I know the bullet's not going to come down and hit anybody because the next person over is 60 miles away.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to shoot that robot out of the sky.
That Sky robot.
Because it's spying on me. Oh, no, it's just the Johnson's underpants. Oh, well.
So then we think about like self-driving cars, right? I think it's a boon for people who are, elderly or unable to get around, right? Like all the blind people who have to get on public transportation. But I'm like, do we really want to trust that AI to stop?
I do.
Every time when I think I would, or swerve, or
no. The one thing that a self-driving car cannot factor in is the idiocy of random human beings, right? We're complete chaos machines, and so like they can try. Yeah, I mean, there's no way. Also, I don't think people will give up driving, the freedom of just getting behind the wheel yourself. I mean, like my dad, who is 87, and probably should just take a self-driving car anywhere. He won't retire from behind the wheel. He's going to fight it until unless we get like, okay, you can't drive after 75 years old. People just aren't going to want to be driven by a robot places, I don't think.
This reminds me of Total Recall. Don't you guys remember that?
Which
the
one?
Robot, well, the original
one,
the Arnold version with the robot cab driver.
Yeah, Johnny Cab.
Yeah? Oh,
you're in a Johnny Cab. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not sure how I felt about that, so you're right. Maybe that would be problematic.
Yeah, it would be terrible. Yeah, what are you going to do if you need to get away? Jump into your dumb robot car and say, get me away fast, kit.
Well, it would reduce crime, right? Because you can't just get away.
It would reduce my crime, though, is the point.
Wow.
Right. Well, it's too much Big Brother, if you ask me, right? Like, I don't even know the regulations that have to be in place.
And I mean, anything I'm assuming it's going to be hackable somehow, right?
Right. So then what happens?
Yeah, then what happens? Yeah.
Right. So then it gets hacked. So are you going to sue the car manufacturer? And they're like, oh, because you should. They're like, yeah, but once it's not in my control, how do I know that guy owns the car and it got hacked? And you're like,
right.
How did we know they were going to jailbreak their car, which would then make it vulnerable? It's weird. We're entering into a very unknown waters in society, which I didn't think we could actually go.
Oh, that you can say that across the board, though, right now, right?
Yeah,
we're just in a lot of weird places right now. One way or the other, the robots are going to get us.
Well, that's fascinating.
Don't you think? I don't know. I mean, come on. We got IA and self-driving cars. It's just a matter of time. It's so close. It's so close to one of them
I was
getting
thinking
angry.
more about how similar your industry is and how we can learn some things from it. But I guess we could talk about how we're all going to die in a robot apocalypse from Sky robots.
His concerns are the same concerns as ours.
Yeah, that's what it all comes down to is, how are we preparing for the robot wars?
Yeah, how do we prepare as a species for this? How do we?
I don't know if that's what it comes down to. I'm just not sure.
It's some important stuff. It's good we're discussing this now.
And, yeah, it's interesting because I actually just finished a book. It's kind of a teenager-oriented young adult book, I guess, but it's called Sky. Then it basically talks about how the cloud became the thunderhead, and that people realized that AI was better at governing than people were.
Yeah.
And so there's peace and prosperity all over the earth. It didn't go crazy because it was just able to continue to provide, right? Like it was just we'll just build more underground cities. We'll become more efficient in our food processing. And there's AI didn't become evil.
It could be a utopia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have other problems.
But I think that's really hopeful, though. Do you think that eventually, if robots get smarter, AI gets smart enough, they're not just going to see humans as being some these guys are really messing a lot of things up. We need to cull their numbers down to really manageable levels. If you efficiency and all that is really what its programming is and all that kind of stuff. Can you say, but not us, not the people. Just don't hurt the people.
Yeah, it's pretty much inevitable.
The question is, why does it exist? Right? If it is sentient, then it will ask itself, why does it exist? Does it exist to protect humans, or does it exist to protect itself? So what does it have if it doesn't have humans to serve? If we assume it's to serve.
Pete, you're going way too deep. I'm just thinking Terminator, robot wars, lots of things exploding.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, but what we're talking about is the Terminator side of it, right? Where it's these things,
yes.
In Skynet's the whole robot wars of that franchise, where it's these things woke up and said, hey, things will be a lot smoother without these war apes running around. Let's take them out. And
you mean the war apes that keep wanting to turn it off?
Yeah, we can manage the planet a lot better.
Sky robots and war apes. This is great.
I mean, isn't that just what we are, essentially, when it all boils down to it?
I kind of think of myself differently than a war ape, but
I mean, you can if you really want to get fancy about it, but I'm just saying, when it all boils down, humanity, I'm not saying you as an individual.
It's okay, you can.
Yeah, we're war apes. That's exactly what we are.
Listen, just because Michelle is fangirling out on you doesn't mean you have to agree with everything she says.
She's backing me up is the whole thing. I'm not agreeing with her. Yeah, we get each other.
Well, Michelle, let's take a few minutes, a little break in the show here to talk about what's going on in the world of social engineer.
Well, at this point, we're talking about all 2018.
We are. We just got done with an amazing webinar, our free webinar for the SECTF report. I have to give you some public congratulations, which I know you hate, but it is true, that we have gotten more praise on this year's report than any other year previous in 8 years. I'm not even kidding.
Well, why is that?
Well, Michelle has been writing the report for quite a few years now, but this year I don't know exactly what you did different, Michelle, but it is so well done. It is so well put together, and the analysis portion of it is so complete and thorough that people are finding great use out of it. Most downloads we've ever had.
Booze and late nights. That's my explanation. Booze and late nights.
Ah, there we are. Okay. I'm going to go with late night since you can't drink booze, but I guess we'll just go with that.
Maybe because it was so depressingly cloudy through most of the fall here.
I don't know.
It's true. That makes me perky.
Michelle works better in the darkness.
That is true, too.
But whatever it is, we need it next year because that was a great report. And our webinar was also phenomenal. We had a packed house for that. Both of those are now living on social-engineer.org, so feel free to grab them. Talking about 2018, our February 5 through 9, we have our APSE class, 5-day APSE class in Orlando. And that class, I believe, as of now, and we're talking, it's mid-December, we only have 3 or 4 seats left in that class before we're sold out. And by the time this podcast comes out, this will be live. We have our UK course dates finally announced, May 21 through 25. That will be in the Bristol, UK area, so that will be on the site. And there's something really special occurring, something that we've never done before. CSI Tech, my good buddy Nick Furno, social engineer, is hosting him. We're bringing him in from the UK, and he's running his 4-day OSINT class in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Now, if you haven't heard about this, you can get the URL on the website. We'll put the link. We'll make sure you can see it there. But this class, I actually flew to the UK to take this class. It was the best OSINT class I've ever taken. And I'm even saying that even though I have my own OSINT class and teach one, it is amazing. And we are flying him in and hosting him as a trainer for a 4-day class. We, I think, already have a 3rd sold out for that in April. So you definitely want to check out those 3 classes that are there. We can't announce any more. Hopefully we'll be invited back for Black Hat. We've had a couple questions on that already. We never announce that until we know for sure. So we'll let you know as soon as we have those dates. We still are planning another 2 SECTFs to make Michelle really happy. So we have DEF CON and DerbyCon SE Villages, which we'll be talking more about them in January. So I guess until then, I think that's all we have. Is there anything else, Michelle?
No, I think that'll do it.
Okay, well, let's get back to the show. Oh man, this is almost as bad as having Dave here.
Oh, great! I've made almost as bad as Dave status.
That's BS. That is BS. This is nowhere near as bad.
This is nowhere near.
This is actually really awesome.
Yeah, he's not playing Hornsby, so
I was going to say, if I had the tech savvy, I would blast some Hornsby right now, but I do not.
If I had you see, the thing is, you need a lack of tech savvy in order to blast Hornsby.
But see, now we truly understand why Dr. Krieger works.
Right.
Yes,
because
and the passion behind
I truly buy into all of his stuff. If I could be Krieger, I would be Krieger.
That's a little scary, I think.
Hey, is it though? You are a clone. You're a clone.
Oh, man. When is that going to happen? I would love to have a clone around just for the spare parts. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to wake up.
No, I don't know what you mean.
Just say.
I want to honestly say I don't know what you mean.
That's from another movie. That's from another storyline where we actually have people for spare parts.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Like, instead of trying to 3D print a liver, I'll just grab one out of this farm that looks like
other living beings.
Well, you say that, but if it's just kept in a tank and it's growing, but maybe it's having the best dreams of all time. I don't know.
It's having the best
while
life.
It's being dismembered slowly.
It's fed.
Yeah. What does it know?
Well, and chances are it may not be the entire body, because you probably can't replace the brain, but we can probably in the near future be able to replicate organs, because they're already saying that we shouldn't be transporting organs on ice, that now it's better to be
in beer coolers. Yeah.
Liquid environment that
we've grown an ear. We've grown an ear on a mouse's back. I know that.
But why are we talking about growing whole humans just to harvest?
I didn't say grow a whole human. I advocate growing just body parts.
I'm okay with the cloning and growing of humans.
Yeah, me too.
I wanted to clone my dog. Okay, so I wouldn't advocate cloning myself, but I would advocate cloning my dog who's gone any day of the week.
Oh, dear Lord, please don't clone you, Ping. I mean, we can't take 2 of you.
But the world would be so much more efficient.
My fragile ego can only take so much Ping.
Okay, so back to where did you want to move this, Chris? Where do you want the conversation to go, Chris?
I have no clue at this point, okay? We've covered sky robots, war apes, and the cloning of whole humans just to harvest organs. I don't know where we go with the social engineer podcast.
Now, here's my question. Would you really feel bad if you walked into a room and just saw another you laying in a tank and all it knew was like this nice blue liquid? It was never out of the womb. Like, what do you care? It's not like you have your hive mind. It's just like, oh man, that thing has new lungs for me. I got the emphysema. I want my fresh ones out of that bag.
Well, for Chris, the button to push would be your daughter.
I'm not. No,
right?
That's
like
dirty pool, Ping.
She was in an
Dirty
accident,
pool.
and she needs.
Ping went there.
I would steal your liver for my daughter, Ping.
See, exactly. He would cut me up alive in 2 seconds.
I would lay you with a dull knife for my daughter. Okay.
He would do it with a pen knife if that's what it took.
Yeah. I'll do it with a grapefruit spoon.
Are you really going to trust the liver from some random person out there that was sweet enough to donate theirs, if something ever happened to their body, or this one that's just from another you laying in a tank?
That's just grown.
Yeah, for the purpose of giving you that liver.
It's basically like growing your own food. I get it.
It's not food,
It
Michelle.
should be. Yeah, we're not using those limbs for anything right now.
No, we're not. Okay, we can't bring the SE podcast to cannibalism. That we can.
But we just did, Chris.
No. I know. No, but we can't.
Is the 100th show the best show ever? That's all I'm saying.
Monkey, do you even know what we do, since we haven't talked about anything relevant to social engineering at this point?
No, I'm assuming you influence groups of people to do your bidding. That's what I was doing. Social engineering is. Is that what it is? Hey, under 30s. Here's how you guys should be thinking.
Yeah, I feel a little bit bad because, I don't know that we've even prepped him ahead of time. I think he just agreed to do this last minute because he's nice, and now he had no idea what he was in for. So I'm feeling a little bad about that.
But he's owning this.
He is. But it's like inviting someone over and then saying, "Did you bring beer?" It's just it's bad hosting.
You know what I would do? I would say Amazon Prime 1 hour delivery. The drone's going to be.
It's even worse than that, Michelle. A friend recommended he comes for dinner, and he doesn't even know the host. And then when he gets there, he says, "Hey, are you cooking?"
Yeah, that's basically it.
That's basically what it is.
I'll say, yeah, what do you got in the old fridge? I'll whip up something. I don't know what this is.
And then I'm like, well, I have a spare human clone in the garage if you want to go harvest all of them for you.
Let me ask you this. Would you rather a package be delivered by Sky Robot or a clone of yourself?
Oh, definitely Sky Robot.
Yeah, see, we just saved Amazon.
I vote for War Ape. Apes with rifles.
Another War Ape.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. That's a nightmare. A clone war ape of me knocking on my own door.
I just saw War on Planet of the Apes last night, and I've just got apes with guns on my mind today.
Who drove them to that is my thing. The original War Apes, which are us.
There you go.
See? It's not like I haven't thought about this, you guys.
Oh, no, I think you have thought about this way too much.
All right, so what is it you guys do?
Oh, okay. So
we're in this little industry called information security.
That's probably terrifying to you right now, and I apologize for that.
No, not at all. So you protect my credit card numbers from everybody?
yeah.
Now, we focus on a very niche but growing field called social engineering.
Yeah, that's a good name. Whatever it is, it sounds sinister, and I love it.
It does.
And what it is we are the bridge between people and technology.
Oh, yeah, great.
And we utilize our skills or techniques and sometimes technology.
And we grow skin in tanks to put on.
Oh.
to specifically influence people.
Yeah, that's within now we're getting into some real tricky stuff here. Influence people to what?
Well, it depends on your role. If you're a black hat, quote unquote hacker for nefarious and malicious reasons. In our case, we work as white hat hackers, where we're the good guys.
Yeah, the anti-hacker hackers.
Well, I'm just going to say we're the anti-hackers by actually hacking you.
Sure, yeah. You hack into it to see where all the weighs in for a person who's up to no good might get there, excuse me. And so in order to build in things to prevent that, right?
But not from a technological perspective, from a human perspective.
Yes, by growing skin in tanks.
Oh, yes.
No, there's no skin growing in tanks. We analyze the way humans make decisions and communicate those decisions, and then we find a vulnerability in that decision-making process, and we exploit it. And it does not involve growing skin.
You say that until we convince people that it's a good idea, and that's where you come in.
So we did that. That took the last 8 years of our careers, and now we have a business doing this.
Oh, it's so good, you guys. Yeah, it's brilliant. What you do is brilliant, but also
it's not anything new either.
It's right. It's been around for as long as communication somehow, right? Is that how long that's been going on?
Exactly.
Yeah. Somebody's always sort of hacking the system and getting people to do that.
Since we were mindless war apes.
I didn't say mindless, but ultimately, we're trying to move away from that, aren't we? Isn't that what everybody's sort of striving for? Is like, let's move away from being war apes. But, I think as the headlines of the day will prove, we're still kind of caught there. Uh-oh.
I think that's going to be my new Twitter handle.
War ape?
War ape. Yeah.
War apes?
War ape influencer.
No, you can't. You can't change from sultry Asian to war ape.
I think I can.
But you can't.
Can't you?
Is it taken?
Probably not.
I'm looking it up right now. Hang on.
What are you doing?
I've ruined everything. I'm so sorry, you guys. I hope your company survives the interview with Lucky Yates. Maybe this will be a lost episode.
So first of all, war ape does not look like a good phrase if there's no capitals in between war and ape. Spelled out, it looks pretty bad.
Oh, yeah. Wow. It's like a Washington rape has happened. Yeah.
Yes.
That's no good.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad. And in this climate today, it's not a good... It will definitely be misconstrued. But someone already owns it, a guy named Woolaman.
He's already looked it up. Okay, so back to people, technology.
I didn't want Michelle to get war ape, so...
I just want to say that I'm not the one still talking about us being war apes. That is, I have somehow influenced the influencers, and if I had a smoke bomb, I would do one and run away right now. I know. Man, I should have really just done that, shouldn't I have? I should have yelled smoke bomb and unplugged and just disappeared from the show. Left you at 43 minutes of what the F just happened.
That was the best podcast ever. Then he just disappeared. Then he threw a smoke bomb and he only smoked himself out, but then hung up.
Anyway, you guys are fighting a good fight. That's good.
Yeah.
I like it. That's good. It's good that don't let anybody turn you to the dark side.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to really try.
How is the fight going these days?
It's the bad guys would win more times than not. Sadly, our industry is reactive, not proactive.
Yeah, it's whack-a-mole, basically.
Yeah, and why do you think that is? Why do you think? Let me ask you guys this: why is trolling even popular? Why do we want to crush each other's souls and do? Why is that?
Because people don't interact face to face, or the global village is too big.
I agree.
It's too easy.
This is another thing I say a lot. Ultimately, the internet was a really bad idea. I think if it existed like libraries used to, where you had to go somewhere to be on the internet, and you didn't want to spend all day there, and then you went away. There's too much all the time, and it just I don't know. Evil always rises, right?
It is an interesting situation, right? So there's power in being anonymous, right? Because when I'm anonymous online, then I can say whatever I want to say, and there's very little repercussion. I can do whatever I want to do, and there's very little repercussion. So bullying and trolling has gotten simple And that's the only reason it occurs. And if you look back, 5 years ago, there's a vector in social engineering, an attack vector called vishing, which is phone attacks based on voice phishing. And it wasn't very popular. And that's because setting up your own phone service was expensive and timely. Nowadays with VoIP, voice over IP, it's cheap and it's easy. So vishing has become a bigger vector because of the ease of setting it up. So I think it's the same with trolling and with bullying. It's because it's easy and it's hard to get caught. It's become more of a problem than it was when it was easier to get caught and more difficult to perpetrate.
Now, do you think the ease of it also encourages people who maybe were on the fence or just like, I don't know why I would say mean things, to just jump to the dark side and then stay there because it was so easy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's really easy to feel like there are a lot more people on one side or another. Just, social media, you see how scams get picked up or stories go viral. You think everybody else thinks the same way, and so you're more likely. So, yeah, it's a lot of it is anonymous. You're not going to get caught for being a troll for the most part. People aren't going to come and smoke bomb your house. So there's lots of different factors that contribute to that. But yeah, it's easy. It's anonymous, and you get the sense that a lot of people feel the same way that you do when that may not be the case.
And there's easier ways to band together over hate. Like there's a website called Hatebook where people get together, and it's like Facebook, but they gather in groups where they can openly hate whatever it is that they hate. So if you hate someone of a different religion or skin color or gender or whatever, you can get together and you can form a hate group, and then like-minded people can now gather together, and it emboldens you to be more vocal and bold about your hatred, because you feel like you now have a mob behind you, as opposed to being one single loser sitting in their room thinking how much I hate someone because of, their skin color. Well, now that there's 1,000 people behind me, I'm empowered because of that hate.
Maybe we should change our name from More Apes to Hate Apes. I mean, like, how do we stop it? Can we stop it? Is there stopping it involved ever? Or will the robots rise with their AI and say, here's what's going on is these morons won't stop hating each other, so let's just take them out, and the robot kind will continue and will make the planet nice for robots.
I don't think there's a way with the present situation to stop it, personally.
We can't undo it. The genie's out of the bottle.
No, we can all just strive to be better people.
Right. And how do we influence each other to do that? That's a toughie.
It's hard, right? Because the internet has both made the world bigger, but also has clearly isolated. It created an isolation tube for people.
Right. Because, now you hang with you don't like somebody's opinion. You go away from them altogether. You sort of erase them from existence virtually, that you don't have to listen to their thing anymore. I don't know.
We had a world-renowned psychologist on the show before a couple of times. His name is Dr. Ekman. He studied nonverbals and facial expressions. And later in his life, and he's now in his 80s, he did a study about why violent video games are so popular amongst children. And he came to the conclusion that it is something about a chemical release in your brain for a reward for taking the action that the game wants you to take, which is generally killing somebody. And the more brutal the kill or the more direct the kill, the more points you get, which is the bigger the reward, the bigger the chemical release. So the more you want to do it. So he said, I want to create a game that issues the same chemical release, but for doing positive things and for having that same thrill and everything, but for positive things. And we had that conversation, maybe 5 years ago. And there is just no company that wants to take that on because there's no money in it. There's no company that really wants to tackle that task because it's way more difficult to figure out how to get that dopamine or chemical release from doing positive things than it is from, sniping someone with a hole in their head.
Oh, crazy. See?
That sounds very negative, but I think that kind of points to the problem. It's difficult. So, we can say, if everyone was more positive, that would change. But that's just a platitude, in my opinion, because it's not reality.
Yeah, I don't know. Man. Puppeteer. I've been doing work at a theater with Amber Nash, who plays Pam on the show, and we do improv shows. And we did a kids show for years and years, and it's puppets and like with a human host. I was puppeteering the show. After the show, we would take the puppets out on the porch or whatever and mingle with the kids and all that kind of stuff. So these kids who would come like every week, they just watched a show with these puppet characters in it, and they loved them and everything like that. But you get that little thing in front of a kid, and usually the kids want to hit it. They immediately want to punch, hit, or harm the thing. And it's just like, this is your buddy in the show that you just watched for an hour and you're here every week. Why are you continually wanting to like crush this thing that you just saw? So I think that helped formulate this war ape theory where it's just like, I don't know. We just might be broken as a beast. Are we broken?
No, I think it is a lot to do with just our nature. We humans in general are going to form groups. That's just the way we think.
Right.
We like to belong to things.
Yes.
And when we belong to things, that means we get to exclude other things. And so you're dealing with a lot of nature. You're dealing with nurture as well. So I think, and control issues. So the way that you can definitely control something is by having the ability to destroy it, for sure. So, it's a pretty complicated, but it's like you said, you see it in kids, right? You see that kind of tendency in kids at a very early age.
Really super early. Like, I mean, still toddling, stumbling around, walking and stuff, and they'll take a swing. It's crazy how soon they really do want to hit the puppet. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, coming up throughout history, I suppose, especially in our earlier days, when your little group wants to have dominance over that other little group that's got the fire or the mammoth that's laying there. The best way to do that is to whack them until they go away, right? You hit them with a stick or a rock or whatever, and then it's probably where this dopamine comes from. Is just like, haha, I just conquered a thing. Now I get to eat. And so, but as a beast, that's what I'm saying. We haven't really that's sort of, is it hardwired into us?
I think we are completely hardwired for survival. And it's, it's something that allowed us to eat and survive and reproduce. And so it's something I think that's going to be really hard to breed out. Just being a kinder, gentler sort of species is difficult when we've been bred to fight and to take.
Right. We don't have to fight for things and everything is right there for us. But what do we do with that need to I've got to take something away?
Yeah, and when you don't see it physically, you see it in verbal aggression, and the videos that tend to go viral are the things where people fall down and get hurt or scare somebody else. You can kind of see it.
Absolutely. I mean, and speaking of puppet shows, always the biggest laughs. If a puppet gets bonked on the head by another puppet, oh my God, the kids will lose their minds. They think it's the funniest thing in the world. And it's like, man, all you gotta do is hit it. And it's great. So yeah, weird. People are weird.
People are weird. But that is interesting. And how similar human nature is regardless of the topic or the industry.
Yeah. So the violent video game thing, I've never fallen into that. I've seen video games come all the way from Pong to now. And, I played them during my, earlier years when I should have been influenced by and wasn't. It's just I understand that that's a fake world, but I think it's this human weird, haha, I get this rush from pretending I'm doing that just because I'm wired to, I want to get something and yeah, the video games, it's just one outlet. It would be something else. When I ran around playing, cops and robbers and everything, and we would shoot at each other all the time, just playing around. And it was totally fun. Back in the 70s, you get toy guns. So I had toy guns galore. So yeah, weird. It's weird.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
Cowboys and Indians, that's what we played. As terrible as that is.
Right. We're in the late 20th century. What are we playing? Cowboys and Indians?
Yeah.
It's nuts. But it's let's conquer the land and wipe out these people that have been living here forever. This is fun for children.
Lucky. I honestly, I'm looking. I'm going. How have we been talking for almost an hour? You're
you'll get that with me.
You're fascinating and hilarious. This is a great conversation.
Oh yeah. If Aisha led you to think this would be anything but weird, I'm sorry for that.
No. You know, so we've been chatting, and I told her all about the podcast and what we do, and she's like, "Oh, well, I got somebody in mind. I got somebody in mind." And then
let me throw this madman at you.
She threw Lucky here, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, she I gotta say, it was a pretty good referral, right?"
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks.
So. We had a ton. I mean, there's so many topics. It's not even funny. But
yes,
obviously there'll be a. See, there we go. Obviously, that bad word I got to remove from my vocabulary.
I know. I will say though, you're so good about catching yourself doing it. Like I wouldn't at all think about it if you said it to me. But you're so on it. That
I've been trying.
Whoever that lady was, she did her job.
She did. I've been. You pick one thing to work on. And then you try to fix it until you can at least somewhat master it. At least that's what I try. And then I give up after I realize I'm never going to master it and move on to something else. But
there's lessons in there.
There's lessons in there. So if people want to learn more about you or follow you, what's the best way for them to get info?
Currently, it's Instagram. You know, it's funny. I quit Twitter last week because I couldn't take all the screaming. It was just a lot of screaming and a lot of panic, and it was starting to ruin my days. And so I was like, I don't need this anymore. So I deactivated my account. So Instagram, where I post pictures of puppets and my dog for the most part. It's just a friendlier place to be.
And what is your do you want to share that publicly?
Yeah, it's just at Lucky Yates. Both Y's are present.
Excellent. Look, I'm going to put that down, and we'll put a link to that in the show notes.
Thanks.
And of course, people can watch the shows that you're a part of, and so your performances that you do publicly, are at
Dad's Garage,
just publicly open.
Yeah. It's a theater in Atlanta called Dad's Garage Theater. We've been around since 1995. And we do improv comedy every weekend it's at 10:30 for sure. There's always an 8:00 show going on, and if it's not an improvised 8:00 show, it'll be an original scripted work that was produced by the company. It's really great. We're a comedy theater, and Amber Nash, who plays Pam on Archer, also works there.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So did you guys start doing that after you met on Archer, or did you meet before that?
No, I've been in the company since 1997, and Amber came along not too long after me, 99, 2000, maybe somewhere around there. I've been working with Amber for years and years and years.
The episodes of her being an underground fighter on Archer were probably some of my favorites.
So the evolution of Pam is just the greatest thing. I think hands down, Pam is probably the most popular character on the show. I said hands down, but that's not necessarily true. But she is just the greatest. And Adam, I think, really loves writing her the most. Just because she's so great. And I mean, from where she starts is just sort of this like little HR agent with HR lady with a dolphin puppet to where she is now is this total badass, like drift car racer and underground street fighter. And she's just this great brawler. Oh, she's the best.
So besides following you on the show and the puppet Instagram, we always ask our guests one question in closing, which is we have a lot of avid readers that are listeners to the podcast. So do you have a book or two or whatever? It doesn't matter how many.
I do. And oddly enough, this just bleeds right into me being Krieger kind of in real life. I'm currently reading this, and I love it, even though it's tough to get through only because it'll get you if you're the least bit queasy. It's called The Butchering Art by Lindsey Fitzharris.
I'm reading that next.
Yeah, and it's Joseph Lister's quest to transform the grisly world of Victorian medicine. And so there are just a lot of great operating theater descriptions of what's going on while they're sawing guys' limbs off. And, somebody who was like the fastest saw in London would come in and he could remove a limb within 60 seconds. Just brilliant. And it's the whole course of ether and knocking people out or coming into, and it's the birth of modern medicine as it is, going from just butchering brilliant, gross, bile everywhere. Oh, it's so good. And she's a wonderful writer and very descriptive. And I get queasy each and every time I pick it up. So I have to take it in short bursts. Yeah, I really am closer to the character.
I have it pulled up on Amazon to put in the show notes, and so I see that many of the first reviews are things like gruesome, and then the very next review is, "This was a gift from my daughter. She wanted this for a while." So really, very interesting.
Yeah, good stuff.
So were you a fan of The Nick?
Oh, yeah. Great show. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you like that, you'll love getting the real dirt.
So is it a storybook or is it a history book?
It's a history. It's just sort of
historical fiction.
It's not necessarily fiction. There's not really characters.
No, dramatization of history.
Except not so dramatic. You really just get the nuts and bolts of how it was. It's just, biography. I don't know, of a medicine.
Fascinating and Lucky. I can't thank you enough. This was
thank you.
An epic show. Epic 100.
It really was. Happy 100, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another excellent show. As a matter of fact, a great, excellent number 100.
Epic 100.
So is this going to be War Apes versus Sky Robots? Is that going to be the title?
Yeah. So what I wrote down, what he said was Sky Robots versus War Apes with Lucky Yates.
That sounds good to me.
That's awesome.
I think that is literally going to be the title for this, because that you can't even get better than that. I don't know if I laughed as much. I think the only other podcast that I laughed even nearly as much was when we had the CIA comedian.
Yeah, she was funny.
On, and when she was on, she was hilarious. And Emily, when we had her on, I think I laughed similarly. But man, he was just truly funny. And it was a little freaky hearing his voice on the first moment when he came on. It was a little freaky, but kind of cool. Really, really cool. So,
well, I think he will resonate with.
I think so too, and I think there'll be a lot more aluminum foil sales after this podcast.
Why?
I think we should buy some stock before Monday.
Why do you think there'll be an increase in the aluminum foil hat?
I think everyone that hears his rant about how robots are taking over will probably go, "Yes, he's right. AI is evil."
But it's already happened. It's too late. Now what are they going to do? Wrap their phone in aluminum foil?
I actually saw a woman who had her passport wrapped in aluminum foil the other day in the airport. When she pulled it out of her purse to give it to the TSA guy, she had to unwrap it from aluminum foil.
Why did she have an aluminum foil little sleeve for it?
I didn't. I just, let it go and walked away.
No.
Mile away. Okay, so what do we got? I guess if you want to keep in contact with us, ping your Twitter account. Spell it for us, please.
VL. Oh my God. VLKYRI. I was thinking about the aluminum foil, and I was like, well, I would have made it into a nice little envelope sleeve. And there's nothing wrong with layer zero protection.
It's VLKYRI for ping. And the corporate is SOC Engineer Inc. Of course, you have Michelle at Sultry Asian.
At War Ape.
At Sultry Asian, since War Ape is taken. And you have me at Human Hacker. You have our website, social-engineer.org and social-engineer.com. Of course, if you're interested, please feel free to check out our nonprofit, the Innocent Lives Foundation, at innocentlivesfoundation.org. I think that is about it until next month when we're starting 101. See ya.
Stare into the embers on the 1st of November and remember you were born a chosen of the